Okay, so we have example 2.4. So we have to determine VD, VR, and ID. So first, you have to know kung ano ba yung mga hinahanap mo. Saan ba yung VD? Of course, that is the voltage across our diode, which is this one. So I guess by now, you already have idea kung anong value ng VD natin. You have also to look for VR. Ano ba yung VR? That is the voltage across our load resistor. Okay, so in this circuit, our load is the resistor. And of course, ID, where ID is this one, nakalabel naman siya. But you know din naman that ID is the current across your diode. Okay? Now, since this is connected in series, itong ID across your diode is also the same as the IR na dumadaloy dito sa ating resistor. Tama po ba? So, we can say that our ID is equal to IR. So, let me write that for you. Eto na lang. Okay? So, this is ID. Sorry, hindi ko na isa-subscribe. ID is equal to IR. Yun. Next. So, ulit, pag may diode, i-determine mo muna whether it is on or off. So, itong silicon natin, i-identify natin. Hanapin natin yung flow ng current natin. So, we have this potential according to our conventional flow. Yung current natin is lumalabas dito sa positive, from negative to positive. So, this is our current, and it then follows your arrow of the silicon. Ibig sabihin, it can pass through the silicon. I'm sorry, the diode here. So, ayun, tuloy-tuloy yung current natin until sa resistor and then goes back. Okay, so we have here our closed circuit. Now, closed siya. So, yung diode natin is naka-on. Alright? So, since on siya, ano nga ulit yun? Pwede na natin siyang isipin or, yeah, we can think of the diode here as para bang meron lang siyang battery. Tama po ba? So, because this is silicon, we can just simply say na pwede na natin siyang palitan. Palitan natin siya ng kanyang equivalent na voltage. Okay? So, since silicon, diode, meron siyang 0.7 volts. Papalitan lang natin siya. Kasi as if meron lang tayong battery dito, which is 0.7. Okay? Oh my, sana yun. 0.7 volts. Alright. Ayan na. So, meron na tayong closed circuit na as if meron tayong dalawang supply, pero basically, this is just a diode. Alright. Now, since close sa ating circuit, pwede na tayong mag-proceed sa KVL. Now, according to KVL, paano nga yun? Saan tayo magsisimula? We can start anywhere we want. Anyway, so we will start here. So, we will list all the voltage supply that we will encounter. Okay? While taking note of the sign. So, meron tayong negative E minus 7 volts plus, we're going to the positive sign of resistor. So, plus, what is VR? VR is equal to V is equal to IR. So IR times R. Or, let me write that for you. Meron tayong negative E plus 0.7 volts plus VR. Yeah, plus VR is equal to 0. Right? Then, I'm just going to copy this one. Substituting our values, our E is 8. So we have here negative 8. Now, what about your, um, yeah, the diode here is already 0.7, so we'll just plug in 0.7 plus VR. VR is equal to, V is equal to IR. So IR times R. Ito ko nalagay yung R. R times IR. And this is equal to 0. Wait, R is given. So this is 2.2 kilo ohms. I'm not gonna write ohms. Alright? Now, take note na yung IR natin dito is the same as ID. Tama po ba? So, papalitan ko na lang to ng ID kasi ID naman talaga yung hinahanap. Okay? So, we have there. And then, that gives us an ID which is equal to, can you compute ID? If you have calculator, pwede nyo akong sabayan. And I know, pag na-compute nyo yan sa calculator nyo, I am very sure that you will get an ID which is equal to 3.318 milliamperes. Ampere because this is current. So, nakuha na natin yung ID. Lakihan lang natin ng konti itong 0.7 ng ating diode para ma-emphasize. Ayun. Right? So we have now our ID. Now, given na yung ID natin, we can now solve for our VR. Tama po ba? Because VR, sabi kanina, VR is just equal to Ohm's law. V is equal to IR. So VR is just equal to IR times R. And since given naman to sila, edi meron tayong VR which is equal to IR natin is 3.318 milliampere times our R is 2.2 K ohms. Huwag ko nang ilagay yung ohms ha. So this is now equal to, kindly check your calculator. You know what? If I were you, I would suggest na tanggalin ko lang tong ampere para pantay sila. So, I would suggest na you grab your calculator and solve it on your own. Then, okay? So, that gives you a VR which is equal to 7.30. Oops, sorry. That gives you a VR which is equal to 7.30 volts. Yan. So, i-read natin. Okay, so meron na tayong ID, meron na din tayong VR. Lagyan lang natin ng VR. So, anong kulang natin? So, finally, ang hahanapan lang natin is VD. Okay, now, VD. You know what? We can solve for VD without even solving. Okay? By just merely examining our circuit. Ano ba yung value ng VD? Ano nga ulit yung VD? That is the voltage across our diode. And since we know na naka-on to and silicon to, alam na natin na meron siyang equivalent voltage drop which is equal to 0.7. And so our VD is just simply 0.7. Diba? Andali. And now our problem is solved. Alright, so we have here our next example, example 2.5. So baka nagtataka kayo ha, ma'am, ba 2.5 na hindi? Wala pa nga tayong 1.1. Okay, I just follow the book kasi. So, just bear with me. Right? So example 2.5, I think we have the same circuit. We also have, let me check. This is 8 volts and 2.2 kilo ohms. Meron pa rin tayong 8 volts and 2.2 kilo ohms. But our diode this time is reversed. Okay? And still, we are to solve for our VD, VR, and ID. Okay, now, again, number one rule, pag may diode, we have to examine the circuit first, whether the diode is on or off. So, we will trace this. This is our potential difference. According to our conventional flow, our current flows from the negative to positive, and then, oops, our diode would not let our current pass through. Okay? The gate is closed. Ibig sabihin, this is now an open circuit. So, open circuit. What happens to the current? Mag-flow pa ba siya across our resistor? Not anymore. So, that gives us an IR which is equal to 0. Okay? So, because open circuit siya, yung IR natin ay magiging 0. And then, no more current. Okay? So, wala tayong current flow. And, take a look at this. If i-feel natin yung solution for VR. Okay? So, V is equal to IR. Now, since IR is equal to 0, do you think meron pang voltage dito? Voltage drop? Wala na po. Okay? So, our VR is already 0. Next, your ID. Your ID. Naka-flow ba yung ID kanina? Hindi. Bakit? Nag-open dito sa ating diode. And if it is open circuit, meron bang current? Wala. Always remember, kapag ka-open circuit, your current is equal to 0. So, ID is automatically equal to 0. Now, we are left with VD. Voltage daw across dito. Tanong, meron bang current across our diode? Wala. Okay. Pag walang current, tanong, wala din bang voltage? Not necessarily. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin na kapag ka walang current, walang voltage. Right? Now, ngayon, gusto ko lang kayong bigyan ng baga, para may feel lang kayo sa mga ating mga circuits. Okay? Tingnan nyo. Meron tayong voltage supply. Alright? And then, this one, walang voltage based sa ating analysis. Kasi nga, walang current. So, malamang, saan pupunta tong voltage dito? Saan niya itatapon? So most probably, itong voltage supply natin mapupunta dito sa ating open circuit. Okay? Such that, pag nag-loop tayo, mag-i-equal siya sa 0. Kasi pag nagtingnan natin, maglo-loop tayo. So negative 8, say for example, meron tong positive 8 volts. So negative 8 plus 8 plus 0 is equal to 0. So correct yung ating KVL. Okay? So yun lang naman yung pag pag ano, pag if pag feel mo ng mga problem, okay, of course isi-solve pa rin natin bilang baguhan kayo. Okay, now meron akong figure dito. This is what happens to our circuit kapag ka na-reverse bias yung diodes. Nagkakaroon ng open dito. So of course, automatic yung ID mo is 0. Okay? Huwag nang magdalawang isip, basta open na putol. Okay? Putol, hindi jump yung ating electron sa kabila. So, wala kang current. So, yung ID is equal to 0. Of course, kasi yung ID, same lang naman sa IR, it's also equal to 0. Alright, so open circuit, this is still your VD. Okay, so let's have KVL. KVL. Oopsie. We have KVL. Okay, now based on our KVL, meron tayong, we'll start our loop here, pag ganun. Always go clockwise. So meron tayong anong terminal, no? Negative. So we have negative 8, negative 8 plus, this is positive, let's say this is VD, plus VD. Next, this is positive, plus VR. Plus VR. Next, meron pa ba? Wala na. This is equal to 0. And then, oopsie, sorry. And then, going back, so we'll just replace our VR. So, copy natin itong negative 8 plus VD plus our VR is equal to IR times R. Our IR is equal to, sige, sulat na lang natin. IR times R, which is equal to 0. Copy lang natin ulit. So, we have negative 8. Our VD, wala pa ring VD. Plus, your IR is 0. 0 times R is 2.2. K is equal to 0. So, since 0 na po ito, the 0 na yan. So, we are now left with negative 8 plus VD. We'll not copy 0 anymore, right? So, this is equal to 0. And that gives us VD which is equal to 8 volts. So therefore, tama yung ating hypothesis kanina na VD is equal to 8 volts. Okay? And of course, ID mo, we need not to solve it anymore because obvious naman and obviously naman itong ating VR. Okay? Isulat na lang natin. So, based on the circuit, our VR is equal to 0 volts because wala tayong current. And of course, our IR is equal to 0 ampere. Sorry, we're looking for ID. Our ID is equal to 0 ampere since open circuit siya. Alright, so ganun lang siya kadali, guys. So let's have another example. So we have here our circuit. Now you might ask, ma'am, ba't ang weird? Ba't ganito lang? Ba't straight line lang? Parang may mali. Parang may mali ba? Kasi most of the circuit na sinosolve natin so far, meron tayong ganito, closed loop talaga. Tama po ba? Ayan. Eh, ba't ngayon, straight line na lang yan? May mali ba? Tingnan natin. So, meron tayong ground, meron tayong resistor. Okay, check. Kilala natin to. Meron tayong diode. Kilala rin natin to. And this one, oopsie, putol. Ano to? So, don't be shocked, okay? Okay lang to. Pag naka-encounter kayo ng ganito, it just simply means na para bang meron kang... Sandali. Parang meron kang... Ayan, meron ka lang voltage supply. So, meron kang, parang ganito lang. Okay. So, this is positive. Kasi positive 5 daw eh. Then, this is the shorter side. And it goes to your ground. Okay. Actually, pwede din guys na, pwede din naman ganito. Kapag may nakita kayo na ganyan, naka-ground din siya, ibig sabihin yan, connected lang sila. Alright? Pwede din ganun. So, meron ka ditong 0.5 volts. Parang ganun lang. So, pwede mo nang hindi isipin to. Okay, ito na yung circuit natin. So, mas maganda yung kanina. Palitan lang natin, ha? I-connect natin dun sa common ground. So, this is your connection. Connected siya sa ground. So, meron tayong closed circuit. So, meron tayong current, malamang. And then, by the way, itong positive 5, how do you know, ma'am, na this is the longer side and this is the shorter side? Ibig sabihin lang, if this is positive 5, kumbaga, from here, papunta doon sa ground, kasi always naman papunta yun sa common ground, ang first na ma-encounter mo is this negative, positive side or terminal or the longer side. Okay? Kapag ka negative naman to, ay dinaon na tong shorter kumpara sa longer. Alright? Okay, so, going back. Meron tayong diode. So, we will not really solve it here, ha? Ano lang, if-feel lang natin yung circuit. Tingnan lang natin yung flow. Okay? So, kapag ka may diode, ano nga ulit yung rule? Kapag ka may diode, tingnan natin kung open ba siya or closed by determining the current. So, according to our conventional flow, ang current natin is from negative, I'll use other color, is from negative papuntang positive. Andyan yung ating current. Okay. Itong I na to, ito lang din naman yung ID. Tama ba? Kasi ito pa rin yun. Okay. So, this is our I, this is our ID. Papapasukin ba ng ating diode? Ng ating gate? Yes, kasi the same direction. So, check. Open yung ating, on yung ating diode. So, papunta sa resistor and then goes back. So, meron tayong closed circuit. Walang open. So, malamang meron tayong value. Wait lang. Gusto ko yung red. So, malamang meron tayong value ng ating ID. Okay? Alright. So, may ID na. So, ano nga ulit yung tanong? Oops, ayaw ma-erase. So, may ID na. Paano natin siya masasolve? E di, KVL tayo. But, take note muna. Okay? Bago yun, bago mo pagdesisyon ng isolve, tingnan mo muna. Yung supply natin is 0.7. Okay? Pero alam natin na yung ang diode is made up of silicon. Ibig sabihin, kailangan niya ng at least 0.7 volts para mag-on. Okay? Now, yung supply natin is 0.5 lang. Hindi umabot sa 0.7. So, what do you think will happen sa silicon? Mag-on, mag-off? Of course, off siya. Hindi niya na-reach yung minimum required potential para ma-break itong barrier. 'Di ba? So, itong ating silicon ay wala, open pala to. Okay? So, ganyan. Hindi siya nagkakandak. Meron tayong open circuit dito. So, itong ID pala natin, although tama yung direction niya, pero kulang yung potential, wala pa rin current. So, your ID pala is 0 kasi open yung circuit natin. Okay? Now, itong VR. Kasi 0 yung ID, may current pa ba dito? Wala na. May voltage ka ba? Wala kang current. May voltage ka ba? Wala rin. Kasi V is equal to IR. I is equal to 0, so V is equal to 0. So VR natin is 0. Now, finally, hahanapin natin yung VD. Now, take a look at this. Parang same lang kanina. Okay, i-feel lang natin muna. So, meron kang 0.5 sa source. Walang voltage dito. De malamang, saan niya dinensipate itong voltage na to? Malamang andito siya sa ating open circuit. So, without even solving first, may feelings ka na. Oh, buti pa siya may feelings. May feelings ka na. Buti ka pa may feelings. May feelings ka na. Siya wala. Hindi, joke. So, may feeling ka na dito siya mapunta. Okay? So, possible naman kasi this is 0. Saan pa nga ba pupunta tong 0.5? So, somehow, etong VD natin will have value of 0.5 volts. Of course, hindi pwedeng feeling lang. Dapat may proof, ano? So, i-loop natin. So, maglo-loop ulit tayo. So, andito na naman ako sa aking writing. Pagpasensyahan nyo na po. Maglo-loop tayo. So, the first terminal na madadaanan is negative. So, we have negative 0.5. Cute. Negative 0.5 plus, positive to, plus VD. Di pa natin alam ano ang value ng VD. And then plus VR is equal to 0. Wherein, yung VR natin, alam na natin na this is equal to 0. Diba? Ang dali ng buhay. So, VD is equal to transpose to the other side, that becomes 0.5. So, tama yung iyong feeling. Okay? So, minsan yung mga feeling mo, tama, tumatama. So, give it a try. So, VD is equal to 0.5. And so, that's it for this example. So, una talaga, no, bago mo atakihin, okay, bago mo isolve, bago ka magmarunong, char, bago mo isolve, pakiramdaman mo muna. Tingnan mo ano yung flow ng circuit. Okay? Wag basta-basta ano atake. Dapat may plano. Okay? May analysis before ka magko-compute. All right? So, meron tayong another example, 2.7. So, we have to determine VO and ID. Where is VO? Andito yung VO. Ma'am, ano ibig sabihin nito? Kapag ganito, ibig sabihin, the voltage across this point up to sa ground. Okay? Papunta dito sa ating ground. Ganun lang yun. Wherein, parallel siya with the resistor. So, parang yung hinahanap lang natin is yung resistor, yung voltage across the 680 resistors. Parang ganun lang. And to look for that, look for the voltage, we need our IR. So, yung first step dito para makuha yung VO is to solve for IR para i-multiply lang natin siya sa resistor. Then, you have your VO. Okay? And take note, yung IR natin is equal to ID. So, ayun, pag nahanap mo si ID, wala, solve na yung problem. So, tingnan natin yung ating circuit. Meron tayong 12 volts. So, kapag hindi kayo comfortable sa ganito, pwede nyo lang din siyang palitan. This is positive, negative, papunta sa common ground. This is your 12 volts. So, never mind na to. Actually, hindi niya naman siya, not necessarily erase niya talaga, no? Gusto ko lang. Alright. Now, ayan na. So, check natin yung ating current flow. So, according to your conventional flow, the current flows from the negative side or terminal to the positive. Now, what happens to the silicon? Mag-on? Yes, mag-on kasi the same direction. This one, another diode, but this is a light-emitting diode. Mag-on? Yes, according to the direction. And then, dire-diretso na yung current. So, walang problema. Next, baka madali ulit tayo kanina, just like here. Although, same yung direction ng current natin sa ating arrowhead ng ating diode, pero kulang to, di ba? Check muna natin. So, meron kang 12 volts. This is just 0.7. Ang sabi dito, the forward bias of the red LED is 1.8. So, ibig sabihin, pag na-forward bias to, kakain lang to ng 1.8. So, do you think may kulang dito na voltage? Meron kang supply na 12 volts. sapat na sapat yan. Okay? So, wala. On to. On ang ating circuit. Okay? Now, look at your circuit. This is just a series circuit and another KVL would be applicable. Okay, so ito na naman tayo sa KVL. Pasintabi na lang sa writing kasi gamit ko ay mouse. So, KVL. So, we will do a KVL. Okay, so we'll start here. So, yung na-meet natin is negative terminal. So, this is negative 12 volts plus, this is the positive side. Okay, so plus. Silicon is 0.7. Tama po ba? Pwede lang natin siyang palitan ng 0.7 volts. So, this is plus 0.7 plus 1.8 plus, diretso na po, okay? So, yung voltage dito is equal to 680 times IR. Plus, meron tayong 680 times IR. Or, pwede na din natin sabihing ID. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. ID, this is equal to 0. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm writing like this. So anyways, doesn't matter. So ito na yung ating ID. So we have one equation, one unknown. No reason for us not to find ID. So that gives you an ID which is equal to, I'll give you time to solve on your calculator. Pause this video, please. So this gives us a 13.7 milliampere na ID. Okay, so check na yung ating ID. Next is our VO. So since meron na tayong ID, sabi kanina yung VO is just equal to VR. Tama ba? Okay, so VO is equal to VR, which is equal to IR times R. So this is just 680. Oh my God. 680 times 13. Hindi talaga ganito yung writing ko sa totoong buhay, 13.97 milliampere. And so, VO is equal to, again, pause this video and calculate on your own. Right, so you would have VO is equal to 9.4. Okay? Which would also feel good, feel right. Kasi, if you try to notice, meron kang supply na 12 volts. Now, saan to papunta? Madidistribute to sa ating diodes and sa ating load. Tama ba? And if you try to add all the values, meron kang 0.7 plus 1.8 plus 9.4, ay hindi umabot sa 12. Yeah, that is only 11.9 if I'm not mistaken. Which is not equal to 12 kasi siguro sa ating pag-round off kanina, okay? But more or less, it's equal to 12. Okay, so by now, I hope you are now ready to solve the rest of the problems. So for this week, your task is just simply answer the problems na hindi natin nasagutan. Okay, so meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we have here 8 problems that you need to answer. So that will be your task for this week. So I hope you have learned something out of this video lecture. At kung hindi pa talaga, ulitin nyo. At kung hindi pa rin talaga, talagang you have to have your book. Sundan nyo lang sa libro. Actually, ang daming problems dito sa book. Sundan nyo lang. Pag may question, pwede nyo akong i-PM or isulat dito sa update sa ating Schoology para mabasa din ng iba kasi malay natin, problems din nila yun. Okay? So again, your task for this week is to solve for the remaining problems. 8 problems dito sa PDF na to, starting from example 2.8 pababa. Okay po? So that's it for today. Bye!